So you have a different interest at heart here. So again, I think a part of that is just pure theater.
Right. Absolutely. And yeah, and I love the fact that you deal with etymology. And because, you know, part of the anger that you hear amongst these people at these rallies is that, okay, he's a big old socialist and he's trying to he wants socialized medicine and redistribution of wealth and all of these different terms. And my question is, you know, I'm not claiming socialism or Marxism or any of those terms, but what's wrong with socialism in some aspects?
Brother Herman, I would dare to bet you that if you ask most of those people in the audience what a socialist was, they wouldn't know. I mean, somebody has prompted them to say these things, and they said them. If you look at the head of the Fortune 500 companies, you see pure socialism.
Right.
They live off the corporation.
Right.
If you look at the congressmen and the senators, they get health care that's off the chain.
Right.
So how dare you? Where's the indignation? How dare you prompt to say that you wouldn't vote or you wouldn't support health care for people when you get free health care, the best available in the country? I think that's what's the word for it? There's a word for that. Hypocritical.
Absolutely. And just on that vein, man, you know, our teacher, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who taught Minister Farrakhan, taught us in a little book called The Supreme Wisdom, exactly what socialism was. And he said, and I quote, "Socialism means to be equal in everything."
Well, what's wrong with that? I don't know what's wrong with that. You know,
I don't either.
So I mean, again, that's a form of theater.
Right.
If you don't know what you're looking at, you get sucked into this senseless debate. I call it being sucked into the thick of thin things. There's much more pressing issues than that. But I haven't been available to watch any media since we've been out of town up in the mountains. So I really don't know where the track is on the insurance thing right now. Somebody was trying to fill me in on it today, so I guess I'll have to get a newspaper and watch some news programs to catch up.
Yes, sir. Now, I want to jump into another piece. It's kind of right along the same lines, but it appears on page 5 of this edition of the Final Call newspaper. And small article written by our sister Charlene Muhammad, who's the Western regional correspondent, writes out of Los Angeles, California. And her article is entitled "Calling Obama a Racist Costs Talk Show Advertisers," and it's dealing with the recent backlash and pulling back of advertising from the Glenn Beck show. And Glenn Beck, of course, is a so-called conservative talk show host who says these real inflammatory things. He called Barack Obama a racist who has deep-seated hatred for white people. And as a result, when this article came out, 12 advertisers had pulled their advertising. As of today, I heard on the news it was 30.
Wow.
Thoughts, first of all, on his statement?
Well, I mean, if I look at the word racist in its purest form, it simply means a love of one's group. I think they have redefined it as to mean, like this guy suggested. I would certainly hope Obama was a racist in the sense that he cares about his group. Now, what exactly group that is, I don't know.
Right.
And certainly, I would hope that he wouldn't be shallow enough to predicate that on the color of my skin.
Right.
I'm an American. That's the race that I belong to. That's the race, because you can't group me into a race predicated on my melanin content.
Right.
But I'm also a member of the inward journey, and that's my race. So I got multiple races. Now, if this fella Beck, I've heard of him, I've never watched his show. If he was foolish enough in this day and age to make a comment unsupported like that, as sensitive as this issue is right now, looked like he got what he deserved.
Absolutely.
To me, it was foolishness on his part. There's been precedents for this kind of behavior. I think the guy that had the cowboy hat, scraggly-looking so-called white fella, not too long ago talked about the basketball team. You know, that was evident. This is in a way.
Amos.
Yes, Amos. Yeah. I think the country as a whole is grown intolerant for some idiocy.
Right.
And this guy's trying to get ratings. I understand.
Right.
And there are a group of people that would want to hear these gross exaggerations and mistruths about things. And so I can understand why he would do that. And these sponsors want to sell their products. Black people in this country make up a pretty powerful buying block.
Absolutely.
Be wise to me. I don't think I would support the show if I, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you think that, and of course you've heard of him, you've never seen him, but do you think that them pulling back their revenue, their advertising will cause him to ease up on the rhetoric?
I think that would depend on the ratings, because oftentimes what this is doing is drawing attention to it also. And so, you know, it can go both ways right now.
Right.
Only time will tell. I mean, certainly if it's in this newspaper, and I've heard the buzz over the news, how newsworthy is it? How long will it be newsworthy? And how, now this is Fox.
Right.
So I do have to consider Rupert Murdoch owns it, and he may stand behind this guy. Well, you know, people have this is America, and they say it's a free country. All you have to do is don't look.
Right.
And if you, I mean, I'm not going to look at anything that's going to offend me. And I got something else. I have other things to do than to put myself in that position.
Right,
yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you make a really good point, man. I mean, in regards to television programs, radio shows, they're all about ratings and revenue, period. Of course, advertisers bring in the revenue, but ratings bring in the advertisers.
Absolutely.
So I think you're absolutely right. It's going to be time will only tell. I just think that he's going to have to be careful, Glenn Beck and others, just in how or what they say, particularly about a figure like Barack Obama.
And a very popular person like
Very, very popular, who really transcends race. A lot of white people, or so-called white people, as you said, they identify with Barack Obama. His mother's white.
He's a pretty good politician.
Right.
I have to give this man his props on that. He's articulate. He's a nice-looking fellow. I haven't seen him do anything that would be so callous as somebody to label this man a racist. I think he's been as inclusive as any president in recent history. So, of course, the verdict is out, but certainly I think he's much more brilliant of a human than to do something like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, of course, this stems from, and this my mind just traveled backwards in time to our brother, Dr. Henry Louis Gates. And his run-in with the law, where he got arrested for breaking into his own home. And subsequent to that, Barack Obama stood up, rightfully so, I thought, and said that was stupidity on the part of the police. And as a result, Mr. Beck made his comments. The judge proved that what Barack Obama said was right and exact because he threw the charges out.
Absolutely. Made sense to me.
So I just want to touch on that, because we touched on that with our last guest at the last show, but I want to get your opinion on that. Why do you think, you know, and of course you're not in Barack Obama's mind, but why the drawback from the statement? Because he came back and he recanted, basically.
Now, let me clarify something. In my opinion, it's simply a belief. That doesn't mean much.
Right.
I would think, had I been in that position and my handlers, because he has to have some press people to that it may have caused some political backlash, particularly since they had couched it as a racial profiling incident.
Right.
What I would have liked them to address more was constitutionality of it. Man's home is his castle.
Right.
And that's a human right. That ain't a damn civil right.
Right.
That's a human right. Now, if I'm in my castle, first of all, why would I have to show you any identification that it is my home? The burden of proof falls on you.
Right.
Now, I think Gates could have served himself better had he not went out and said what he said, and then perhaps sued the police department for violating his constitutional rights. That's the way I would prefer to have dealt with it. However, Obama has a degree in, I mean, he is a lawyer,
right.
and